Welcome to the Rise Together podcast weekly hot take series. Every week, we're going to bring you powerful stories and strategies from leaders who are making a real impact by building stronger, more resilient communities. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools to thrive in both your personal and professional life.
Hi, everybody. This is Beth Almaris with the Foundation for Family and Community Healing. The foundation is a small nonprofit, and we are dedicated to helping individuals and organizations really build strength and resilience through skill building, education, and leadership development. I'm excited to talk to our guest today. We have Dr. Ketan Desai, who is the CEO of International Medical Consultants. How you doing today, Ketan?
I'm good. How are you?
I am quite well. Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
I'm in Pennsylvania, right above me. I'm in DC.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. Well, we're excited you're here. Can you tell us a bit about your organization?
Yes, my company has two major arms to it. One is clinical, the other is pharmaceutical. In clinical, we provide feedback to all kinds of people who want medical advice. It's mainly for clinical medicine, practicing medicine. And then on the pharmaceutical side, we have two other divisions. One is radiology, where we look at CT scans, MRIs, etc., for blinded reviews. And then we have a pharmaceutical consulting, which actually consults for biotech and pharma companies, helping them develop drugs from the preclinical to the clinical space. So everything from preclinical toxicology, pharmacology, through clinical studies to phase 4, filing IND, NDA, and then phase 4.
I see. And how many actual employees do you have?
3.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
that's a lot for three folks.
well, actually, we do hire a lot of consultants and contractors as needed. Um,
I see. Okay.
because of the ebb and flow of the business, there's no point having too many people when you don't have that much work. And then when you have a lot of work, you need people quite fast. And so it's better to just hire contractors and get it done.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And how long have you been in operation?
About 17 years.
Okay. So that was quite visionary 17 years ago.
Well, people have been doing consulting for a while in this industry, so it wasn't that different. The part that was so the pharmaceutical consulting wasn't that different. The clinical consulting at that time, the internet had just started, not just started, but it wasn't quite as uh, prominent as it is now. And so that part was different to actually start talking to patients in different countries to provide clinical feedback. So I provided feedback to people in India and China and places like that.
I see. That's great. So, how does your organization, how do you interact with clients?
So it depends on the type of client. So if it is a clinical client, then it's pretty simple. It's just like doing a clinical consult like you would do in the office, except it's on the internet. So that part is the easy part. The more complex part is when the client is a pharmaceutical or a biotech company. Those are pretty long-term engagements, usually 3 months to as long as 3.5 years. So those are much more complex. It involves defining the clinical strategy, identifying indications for the compounds, how best to develop it, and even helping them run the clinical studies.
Hmm, that's really interesting. And how do you like get new clients? How do you onboard folks?
Getting new clients is mainly through third-party vendors, and those include, I won't give the names out, I don't think that's appropriate, but they look for, the vendors look for consultants for various projects, and they contact me and we go from there.
I see. Okay. So, in terms of you and your team, and it's a small team, but you have a lot of consultants and you have a lot of capacity. How do you really kind of plan for wellness, work-life balance, things like that?
Wellness is mainly through nutrition and through exercise. We do emphasize nutrition, and we do give people coupons or whatever to go to join the gym, or if they want to buy equipment and exercise at home, do that. Uh, that's the main things. We don't have specific retreats, etc., in fancy places because those are very expensive. Actually, you can have them, but they turn out to be quite expensive. So we don't do that. Then we also have, open door policies. People can talk about what's bothering them, etc. Or in our case, open internet policy because we're all situated in different parts of the country. So that's how we do it.
The open internet policy. Well, that's good. That's good. Um, have you seen any? I imagine working with some of the pharmaceutical companies, you're working with really big organizations. Have you heard of any policies or any wellness initiatives that they're undertaking?
Mainly about two things. Number one is through the healthcare plans, so the insurance plans. They do emphasize nutrition and diet. So if anybody is obese, for example, they do provide counseling for that. The other one is again the same as we are doing, giving membership to gyms and having a gym inside the big pharma. Those are the main two. They do provide some psychological, or psychiatric help if people need it, but unfortunately, that tends to have a stigma, and it's still there. So
Mm,
most people don't avail of that. So, for example, if someone is stressed out because a project is due and there's too much work, not enough time, that person is very unlikely to go to the psychiatrist or psychologist and say, I'm stressed out. They most likely won't do that.
let me see. What are some of the trends that you're following for your own organization that's happening out in the workforce right now?
The trends in clinical is actually extremely difficult right now because of the changes which are coming down the pipe from the administration, and no one really knows what's going to happen, both in Medicare and Medicaid. And those are the two
Mm,
reliable, well, those are the two biggest ones. And a lot of the insurance company follow Medicare as to what is going to be reimbursed, what is not going to be reimbursed, etc., etc. What is approved, what is not approved. And so there's a lot of confusion in the clinical space right now as to how to proceed. There's also a lot of pressure at least in the United States, in how the individual practices are being run versus hospital-based practices. Because a lot of hospitals are buying out individual practices, and a lot of hospitals are going under, especially in Pennsylvania. We've seen quite a few big ones go under. And
oh,
so that
really?
is, yeah, quite a few of them, especially in the rural areas that they just go bankrupt. So there's a lot of turmoil in the clinical space. In the pharmaceutical space, there's also a lot of issues because, again, a lot of the grants which used to be given, funding, etc., that used to come down from NIH has suddenly been cut quite a bit, actually. And so that's made a big impact there. So it is a trickle down thing because once the big pharma and the biotech company don't have money, they don't hire people, projects go down. The CROs, that's clinical or contract research organization, they don't get funding, they don't get money to do trials. So it affects everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
one of the examples, if anybody goes to LinkedIn and you just click on the job portion and you look at any job being advertised, you will see for every job there's like 50 to 100 applicants. It's just astounding.
yeah, yeah, and certainly AI is making that possible, but it's also making it really challenging for the actual job seekers for sure.
Yeah. There are a lot
Yeah.
of phantom jobs being advertised, and I'm not sure why people do that. But companies sometimes post jobs which don't exist. Maybe they're harvesting CVs or what, I don't know, but they do that too.
Mm. Yeah, it's we're living in a really challenging and interesting time. I think we're in a big learning curve right now, and things are changing faster than we can keep up with right now, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, so it goes back to that building resilience and strength for ourselves and our organizations.
Yeah, but one of the things I tell people is to have a multifaceted approach. Don't hang all your, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So have multiple sources of income, so that if one fails, you can go to the other one. And the other thing I tell people is to always keep your eyes open for new opportunities. Uh, don't say this is the only thing I'm going to do. So I'll give you an example. I know an endocrinologist who is working in the pharma industry. The only thing he will do is endocrinology. He won't do anything else. Well, there are not too many trials right now going on endocrinology. So if he loses his job, he's in big trouble.
Mm,
And I know people who
yeah.
have been looking for jobs for 2 years, they haven't found it.
Yeah, it's certainly tough out there. Well, Ketan, how can folks, if they're interested in learning more about you or connecting or learning about your organization, what's the best way for them to get in contact?
Going to my website is probably the easiest. It's intmedc.com. It's short for International Medical Consultants. INT for International, MED for Medical, C for Consultants.com. Or my email or phone number.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, I appreciate
And
it
thank you
too.
to our listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on our Rise Together podcast weekly hot take series. We hope you've been inspired by today's stories and strategies for building stronger, more resilient communities. Remember, resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about growing through every challenge to become bigger and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody who could benefit from these insights. Stay connected, stay resilient, and we'll see you next time.